Well, now it's time for questions and answers. So, for all our speakers, if you want to make a question, please raise your hand and wait until you're given the microphone so that we can all hear the answer and the question. Okay.
A brief question. Yes, a brief question to Mr. Moss. You mentioned, if I understand you correctly, that the legal effects in the UK are created at the company. My question is this true with respect to effects on third parties? Because at least in some cases, I guess, the effects on third parties change drastically with registration. At least this happens in many countries, in many systems. To the extent this happens, I could say that even if lawyers have in their minds the conception that the effects are created privately by the parties, in this case in the company, from the perspective of the market as a whole, this is a sort of antique conception, but it's not real. I mean, the important for the functioning of the market, the key element is how the effects change with respect to innocent third parties. I mean, for the type of transactions that really these institutions were created for. I don't know about if you could explain about the details in the US. What is the difference in the UK, sorry, the difference between effects on parties and effects on third parties?
Absolutely correct. There are certain things that take legal effect with the registry, and there are certain things that don't. So as I said, the incorporation process, that takes legal effect. A company doesn't exist until I incorporate it. But the day after incorporation, if they appoint a director, that is an event that occurs in the life of a company. The legal proof is in the minutes of the company. That is the legal certainty around who is a director. That's the way the law is based in the UK. And the company has a period of time to notify the registrar. Now, that is the basis of it. As I said, that's one of the questions I have in terms of, is one system better than another? That's the way, I said, the UK system has worked for a very long time. Whether it's antiquated, whether it's fit for purpose, is an interesting debate to be had. But I think the point of the register is it's there to provide information. There is no guarantee that we give to people searching the information that the information is correct. Now, that's not the basis of it. Interesting, in the UK, the land registry for land title has a very different setup. That does provide a guarantee. So we have two different registers in the UK doing different things. All right? But the business register, it's there to actually provide basic information on the company. And yes, it doesn't provide any legal guarantee. Now, where that then places costs for the economy as a whole is an interesting concept. And again, I'd be really interested in any research or evidence to say that one system is better than another. There are some real advantages that we have in the UK, and we're seeing lots of good things around growth and use of data. And certainly, people seem to like the way the system works in the UK. Whether that can work well in another country, I've no idea, because it'll have a different legal setup, different culture, and different way of working. But it appears to be working in the UK. But I said, one of the things I want to discuss is how well do things work elsewhere? We have, as I said, nearly 600,000 new companies being formed a year. We have 300 million downloads of data. The register is being actively used to, and is helping growth in the UK. So something must be right, but there may be better ways of doing it, and really keen to learn.
Thank you. Could I supplement that a little, if I may? The distinction is not as big as is being portrayed here. This is a fictitious distinction in some respects. On the registries like the UK, and I'd be talking about the Irish registry from being involved, but I know it's the same basis of law. If the company fails to put on the public register certain information and a third party suffers as a result, they have a case against the company because they're entitled to rely on the information in the public register where it was supposed to have been published. So if a company changes its director and fails to notify Companies House, and somebody looks at the Companies House register, relying on the data in the register, they can rely on it in the same way as the Spanish register or the German register or the other registers, but because the company has put itself in the wrong by not complying with the law and disclosing the information. So actually the third party is not, to my mind, as disadvantaged in this comparative system as is always being suggested. The additional component is that some of the registries go through a verification process on the data in terms of making sure data is notarized versus non-notarized data. To me, the big distinction there is who the company lies to. Does the company lie to the notary or does the company lie to the registry? So if somebody puts on the Companies House register, we've had example, I'm sorry for using the Companies House, I'm quite happy to make it the Irish register that I'm talking about, but we had a case of a company that passed a new memorandum and articles of association, a new constitution. And 2 years later, it came in presenting the constitution that was 2 years old, at which time we had an actual example of somebody who had relied on the old rules of the company. Well, the company had to retreat because they hadn't published the data as they were required to do by law. So I don't see the third party as damaged in the comparative manner that we might sometimes think from the distinctions that we're so conscious of between the different registries.
Totally agree with you, Paul. I think you have the right position there. I mean, at the end, the third party trust the information is published. Maybe with one system before and another system later. But if the information published is not in the register, the liability and the responsibility will be for the company, never for the third party.
Any other question? No more questions?